Everyone who saw Maria and me believed our life was perfect. But no one knew that one day I would discover her secrets, and our happy life would crumble like a house of cards. It all started that day when I found her phone on the kitchen table and decided to check the messages. That's when my story began. This video is designed to be pleasant to listen to anywhere. In the car, during dinner, on a walk, or while relaxing. So, enjoy the story wherever you are. Maria and I had been married for 10 years. Our children, Anna and Peter, filled our home with laughter and joy. I worked as an engineer at a local construction company, and Maria was a homemaker. We lived in a cozy house, which seemed like the embodiment of our dreams. I was proud of my family and thought we had everything we could ever wish for. Every morning began with me taking the kids to school, after which I would head to work. Maria stayed home, handling the household chores and planning our leisure activities. In the evenings, we had dinner together, discussed the day, and made plans for the future. We dreamed of the future, of how the kids would grow up and we would travel and enjoy life. These dreams warmed our hearts and gave us strength amid the daily routine. But lately, I had begun to notice changes in her behavior. Maria started staying late at work more often, spending more time on her phone, and had unexpected absences. At first, I didn't think much of it, blaming it on fatigue and daily concerns. But slowly, suspicions began to creep into my mind. She avoided conversations about her day and often said she was tired and needed more time for herself. I tried to support her, offering help, but all I got in return were excuses and even more withdrawal. We stopped having dinner together, and when I asked her about her day, she would answer briefly. Our once lively home, full of laughter and joy, became quiet and distant. One evening, when Maria was late at work again, I decided to check her phone. I had never done this before, but my suspicions were overwhelming. She had left her phone on the kitchen table, and I couldn't resist. I picked it up and started scrolling through the messages. What I saw shook me to my core. Messages from an unknown man, where they discussed their meetings and plans for the future, were undeniable proof of her infidelity. They talked about dinners at expensive restaurants, weekends away, and even exchanged gifts. My heart clenched with pain. It felt like the ground was slipping out from under me. I loved Maria and trusted her, and now everything had collapsed. A wave of anger and pain pierced my heart, but I knew I had to act calmly and rationally. I closed the phone and put it back in its place. That night, I couldn't sleep, my thoughts racing between anger and despair. How could she do this to me and our children? What other secrets was she hiding? The next day, I planned to confront Maria, but I couldn't muster the courage. Her smile and calm demeanor threw me off balance. I started noticing little things I hadn't paid attention to before. New jewelry, expensive perfume I hadn't given her, and sudden trips she hadn't told me about. Instead of immediately accusing Maria, I decided to find out the whole truth. I hired a private investigator who began tracking her movements and gathering evidence. The investigator quickly identified Maria's lover. It was her boss, Antonio, with whom she had worked for several years. I pulled myself together and began devising a plan. I realized that rash actions could make things worse. I needed to learn everything in detail. The investigator soon found proof of their affair. Antonio and Maria were meeting in secret, spending time together in hotels and restaurants. But that wasn't the worst part. The investigator discovered that they were actively using our joint account, spending money on their dates and lavish gifts for each other. I soon realized that my wife had not only betrayed me but had secretly been spending our shared funds. I couldn't believe my eyes when I saw the bank statements. Huge amounts had been spent on restaurants, hotels, and even jewelry stores. The money we had been saving for our children's future was spent on her love affair. I decided not to rush with the confrontation. I devised a detailed plan for revenge, one that would not only show Maria her mistake but also restore my lost dignity. I started by opening a new bank account and transferring all my savings there, leaving only the minimum amount in our joint account. Next, I arranged for all our shared bills, including utilities and the mortgage, to be transferred to Maria's name. This meant that all financial obligations were now hers. I also prepared divorce and property division documents that ensured Maria would be left with nothing. I planned every step to leave Maria no room for excuses. I had to wait for the perfect moment to reveal everything and deal her the maximum blow. To do this, I began collecting all the documents and evidence of her infidelity and financial misconduct. I knew I needed time to prepare. In the meantime, I tried to act as usual, not giving away my suspicions. It wasn't easy, but I knew it was worth it for the sake of justice. I consulted a lawyer to prepare all the necessary documents. We discussed the plan, and I was confident I could deliver the final blow at the right moment. My lawyer helped me draft the papers so that Maria would be left with nothing, and all our assets and property would go to me and the kids. One evening, when Maria returned home after another meeting with Antonio, she was in for a surprise. I was sitting at the table with a stack of documents in front of me. I calmly invited her to sit down and listen to me. "Sit down, Maria. We need to talk," I said, trying to keep my composure. Maria, suspecting nothing, sat across from me and began listening. I told her everything I knew, about her affair, the hidden expenses, and that I had already prepared divorce papers. I also informed her that all our financial obligations were now hers, and that I had a new account where I had transferred all my savings. Her face went pale, and her eyes widened in horror. She hadn't expected this turn of events. Her world collapsed in an instant. I calmly gathered my things and left the house, leaving Maria alone with her thoughts and her new set of problems. "Henry, wait!" she shouted, but I didn't stop. I knew that no conversation or excuse could change anything. Her betrayal was too great to forgive. In the car, I took a deep breath, feeling the tension and pain start to ease. Ahead of me was a new life, and I was ready to start it with a clean slate. After the divorce, I began a new life. I focused on work and the kids, who stayed with me. I felt liberated from the heavy burden of betrayal and deceit. My revenge had been carried out without violence, but with cold calculation and wisdom. Maria, left without money and support, soon realized she had made a terrible mistake. Her relationship with Antonio quickly fell apart when he learned about her financial troubles. She was left alone, with debts and a broken heart. I continued living my life, surrounded by the love of my children and the respect of my colleagues. I knew that revenge, carried out with intelligence and calm, had brought me not only satisfaction but also a new opportunity for happiness. I started spending more time with the kids. We went on nature trips, played sports, and went to the movies and theaters. I tried to make up for the lack of attention and love they had experienced in the past few months. At work, I was promoted, becoming the head of the department. This not only improved my financial situation but also proved to me that I was capable of more. I began making new plans for the future, dreaming of how the kids and I would travel and discover the world. This story is a reminder that betrayal and deceit do not go unpunished. I showed that even in the toughest situations, you can find the strength to fight for justice. My revenge wasn't just an act of retribution but a way to restore my honor and dignity. I apologize for any possible errors in the dubbing or text. I'm not a native speaker, and I'm still learning. If you notice something that can be corrected, please let me know. The dubbing of this video was done using artificial intelligence to make the content more accessible and engaging. Your support and feedback in the comments are an important motivation for me. They help improve the quality of the content and inspire new ideas. If you like what you hear, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss new episodes. Every time I think back on this period of my life, I feel proud that I was able to overcome all the challenges and emerge victorious. I know there are still many difficulties ahead, but now I'm sure I can handle them.